Okay. Good afternoon. I'm calling to order the February 2026 meeting of the Sagaponic Zoning Board of Appeals. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America,
America, and
to
to
the republic
which
which stands one
one
nation
nation under God,
under God,
with liberty and justice for all.
People who are listening in remotely, if you're not speaking, please mute your microphones so we don't get feedback and what else. Thanks. I think this will be a pretty brief meeting. Everyone have the opportunity to read the minutes from January's meeting? Yes. Anybody have any comments? Then I'll make a motion that the minutes from January be accepted. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. So we have an item of old business, which is 518 Bridge Lane LLC for that address. It's application 11 of 2025. And it was area variances for accessory side and rear yard setbacks for a pool and an accessory rear yard setback for a patio. There was some discussion of the proposal at two meetings, one back in December, I guess it was, and the other one in January, where the property owner spoke to her neighbors to see if she could modify the proposal to assist in being a good neighbor. We have a new proposal. Is there someone here to speak to this on behalf of the applicant, or am I just okay?
Yes, Susan Lago, I'm here.
Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
Right. You have a representative here also who was
Yes.
surveyor or
Our Anthony Vermandois, 68 Union Street, architect. Okay, yeah, so really the change here is that we moved we slid the pool over further to the west to a conforming offset on the east side there. Excuse me, thereby eliminating one variance.
Okay, so previously there was a required side yard variance on the easterly side of the property. And by moving the pool over in a westerly direction, encroaching upon what was to be a patio, the easterly setback is now conforming and the westerly setback has not been adversely affected. So there's only a single variance at this point being requested, and that is for the rear yard setback. The property is quite small. The pool is very small. It's almost impossible to eliminate the rear yard setback and still have a pool and patio. Mr. Stosky, who is the owner of the property to both the east and the north, I assume is pleased with the move of the pool further from his property to the west.
I did speak with him. I don't know, is he present there today?
He is not.
Well, I have sent a message to him earlier and he hasn't gotten back to me, so he may be away, but we did speak on the phone last month and he was mostly concerned for the east because he has a small structure on his land, but he said he had no objections to any setback at the rear because his property there is quite far in. So what would be the minimal allowance for a setback at the rear? What would be the minimal that could be allowed if he has no objections?
Well, I think you can stand on your application. What you've just told us is consistent with what Mr. Stosky himself had told us at a previous meeting. He was most concerned about the setback on the east, which you completely addressed, and you're now in full conformity, so you don't even need the variance for the east side.
Right.
And he, as you said, was not objecting to the proposed rear yard setback.
Right. My problem is that I kind of misunderstood the layout of the survey. I thought that we had to get the survey drawn to the requirements, not to what I was requesting. So I would actually like to request a smaller setback for the rear. Even though the survey is not showing that. I had misunderstood about that.
Now, let me suggest this, okay? We cannot address a greater variance than you have published and that has been noticed for this meeting. So if you do want to request a larger encroachment in the rear yard, a smaller setback, in other words, you can do so. And since your proposed driveway variance did not arrive in time for this meeting, and you will be back before us for the driveway variance request, I guess if you wish, you could amend that application to include the further setback to the north of the swimming pool, because that you just got the turn down letter on the driveway, and you will need to publish a notice of the next zoning meeting, and that probably could include, if I'm not incorrect, and I guess Chris could correct me if I am, I think you could include an amendment to your current application to the rear yard setback of the pool.
Okay.
Let me just hang on 1 second. Let me just confirm that I'm not speaking out of turn.
No, that's all correct. And the minimum rear yard setback is 30 feet. So that's what's required. And right now it would be, I guess this proposed one says 17. So that's also important to keep in mind.
All right, Susan.
So there would be no consideration of a smaller setback, even though the neighbor has no objection?
Can't do it at this application because you didn't apply for it.
Yes, I understand that. But for the next one, if so that I can get the survey properly noted and measured and set up, you know, what would be the minimum required, and I'll have the survey made to that.
I can't give you an advisory opinion. What I can tell you is you have before us a request for the 17-foot northerly rear yard setback. We can grant that variance. You can come back in March if you get this done in time with a new survey and request that the variance be increased by an amount with a further setback, which, based upon what you produce and what the attitude of the board is and whether there are any other neighbors, we could either grant or deny, but you would at least have the approval of the current plan with the 17-foot setback.
There has been no new application received just yet.
Yeah, right.
So the 11th of February was the deadline for March.
Oh, for March, so
it's
we have
going
the
to
April. So they're not gonna have the driveway here in March either. That was too late, because you just got the turn down. Right, so I am being corrected in one respect, and that is you are too late to be before us again in March. But you will be welcome to reappear in April with two variance requests, one pertaining to the driveway and one pertaining to a smaller setback for the swimming pool on the northerly property line.
Right. And I just have to kind of pick a number for back there to draw the new survey to.
Yes, I guess you have two choices. We can either proceed with your current variance request for the 17-foot setback for the pool. And then you can decide whether you want to come back for a new variance for a smaller setback, or you can request that we adjourn this hearing today. And you can come back in April with a revised survey and just seek a different setback. It's within our discretion, when we hear your application, to deny a variance altogether, of course.
Right.
Also, and we can grant the variance as requested, but we can also grant a lesser variance than you have requested. So, for example, if you came back with a request in April for a 12-foot rear yard setback for the swimming pool, we could say, well, that's kind of pushing it. You were going to go with a 17-foot, we could grant you something better than a 17-foot and less than a 12-foot, maybe a 15-foot setback.
Yeah.
I think you need to consult with your own experts and your surveyor. You
Mhm.
want your survey to be timely because you missed one meeting because the survey wasn't ready in time. And I can't tell you what, I don't know, we can have a discussion here, but we're not going to give you an advisory opinion as to what setback would be permitted.
Right.
Sort of discuss among ourselves a little bit about what consequences there might be to such a request, a setback. We do know that Mr. Starsky did not object to this setback, which is 17 feet. We don't know whether he would object to a 12-foot setback. I don't know
Right.
don't know how far his structure is to the north of your property.
It's quite far.
Well, quite far is a subjective.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you have access to aerial map views, but you know, it's just Google Maps would easily show
We
distance.
we can't work on that basis. We need to actually have dimensional information, need to know the actual distance of the setback, and to hear from your neighbor who's entitled to be renoticed.
Yes.
That you're asking for something more than you had for this meeting, which he didn't show up for because apparently he had no objection to the 17 feet on the north. But
Yeah.
we don't really know, and we can't take hearsay evidence
Right.
as to what he would or wouldn't accept if you were to reduce that setback.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so do you want us to proceed and either grant or deny, but make a decision on this application today, which will not preclude you from coming back in April with another variance request pertaining to the swimming pool, in addition to what you're already anticipating, which is a request for the driveway?
Right. I don't know, it doesn't really make much of a difference either way, does it? I could still return. I guess you could decide today and then I'll think about returning.
Right. The decision today then will either give you some clue as to our inclination towards a rear yard setback. If we grant 17 feet and you would lock that in, you would have that, whether we give another one more in the future or not. So I don't think there's no prejudice, so there's no harm in you getting a decision today.
Okay.
Okay. Now I've spoken to the whole board without polling them. Anybody else on the board have anything to add or questions or anything?
I think that I largely, I mean, obviously agree with everything you said because it's correct. But if we are going to discuss, my understanding is now we are going to discuss this variance.
We're going to discuss this variance.
Yeah.
We're not going to render
Right,
any
and-
kind of advice.
Right. So
with
my
respect to a
my
grading.
response to the
Yeah.
new proposed location
Yeah.
of the pool is that I think given the known constraints of this lot, that Ms. Yago did responsible thing, reduce the amount of variances that she'd need, bring it all the way down to 1. And I think 17 feet, given that 30 is the standard, I wouldn't want to see a pool on such a constrained lot get a lot bigger.
Okay, so it's and I'm not asking Ms. Lago to commit to what she's going to apply for, but part of our discussion here is requesting a 17-foot setback where the 30 is required is a substantial variance.
Yes.
But that's only one of the issues that we consider. The other issues are what effect it will have on the neighborhood and on the environment, and whether there's a feasible alternative. We've already discussed those things. It's a very small lot. There isn't much of a feasible alternative. And we do have input with respect to this particular variance from your neighbor. So I'm kind of in favor of granting the variance, the current variance for the 17 feet. It's not clear to me from the current discussion whether the request for a lesser rear yard setback means moving the pool further away from the home or widening the pool. In other words, leaving the southern edge of the pool substantially where it is and expanding the pool to the north, so it's a little larger swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, I mean, that, you know, that's something to consider. But either way, the size of the variance would be determined by the northerly line of the swimming pool. Whether
Right.
the pool is bigger or whether it's just been moved further to the north.
Yeah, I wouldn't go any bigger. If anything, I might need to shrink it now so that it's not, right in the middle of the property. My concern is walking out on my deck and falling into it.
Yeah, well, it is a tightly constrained property.
Mhm.
There aren't too many locations or too many things that you can do with it, but ultimately it's your property and it's your decision. And I think we're indicating that we understand your situation and
Mhm.
are somewhat sympathetic to it, but I can't give you advice.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, I understand.
I think we thoroughly ventilated this, and I think we got the main thing we wanted, which was to increase the eastern border. I'm fine with the 17 feet. I consider the location of the residence on the adjacent property to be of some significance, but that is not the only determinant. And I think property lines themselves are significant. And I'm fine with 17 feet. I'm not sure I'd be fine with much less than that. But
Right.
that's not for me to decide today. Today's decision, I'm fine with.
Okay.
You could acquire a 10-foot wide strip running across the northerly edge of the property. So instead of increasing the amount of the variance, you'd increase the size of your backyard so you could move your pool further to the north without
That's the long
needing
way around.
more
I'm not quite sure I understand.
Mr. Spassky's going to be interested.
Like I said, I'm not giving advice. I'm just entertaining myself with the possibilities.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So anybody else have any comments on this variance? Nope. Hearing none, I will make a motion to close the hearing on this variance application. We hear second? Second. All in favor? Aye. And since we've pretty much telegraphed where we're going with this, even though the only legal status is determined by a written decision, I think we're all in favor of granting the current application for the new location of the pool, which does not require a side yard variance and requires a 17-foot rear yard setback. And with that, we'll ask our council to prepare a decision for adoption at the March meeting. And you can work with our building inspector and your own advisors as to what you propose to do at the April meeting. We know we'll be hearing you at that time about your front yard, your driveway.
Yes.
All right?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Everybody good with this one? We'll move on. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the second application was one that we heard in full and closed the hearing on at our January meeting. It's for 128 Caroline Road. It was Frank Gallipoli, application 1 of 2026. And this was an area variance for off-street parking and required front yard setback. You may recall that there was a prior variance which granted front yard parking, but at the time, the parking area was at the southerly edge of the property, though the principal dwelling was close to the northerly edge of the property. It has now become apparent to the property owner that it would be preferable to have the parking area in front of the residence. So he's now requested a variance for the same number of parking spaces close to the northerly edge of the property. He will relinquish the parking area at the southerly edge of the property, revegetate it, screen it, and the entry to the northerly driveway access will be better than the one that was on the south. It will be screened. The cars come in and turn to the left. They'll be hidden behind a hedge. And we had a letter from the northerly property owner who also approved Mrs. own driveway, basically abuts this one at the southerly edge of the property immediately to the north of the alley. So we have a proposed decision which will grant the requested variance. Anybody have any comments or questions? Or should we put it to a vote? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to approve the requested variance, moving the parking spaces on the property from the southerly edge of the property to the northerly edge of the property in accordance with the terms of the written decision, and abandoning the other parking area. You in favor? Well,
Make
we have,
a motion.
the motion is made, second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay. So that variance is granted. I guess, Mr. Galapoli, you're not here on,
We have John Bennett and
Oh, John.
Rob Marks. Well, John left, but Rob Marks is on the
okay,
way.
all right, so you'll
So
let,
they're aware.
they'll let their client know, provide them a copy of the decision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rob.
Okay, so there being no new business today, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. I can all get back out into the warmer sunshine day.
Agreed.
Yeah.